The purpose of this episode, one, is to break the myth. The myth has been talked about, like I said, for years. And we're going to show you more of what real market behavior is like. Now, why can it be a great advantage to you? It filters out people. We'll start with that. Now, I want to be able to provide you with some clarity and confidence on the fact that this is really a strategic time of the year for you to get your home sold. So most people avoid selling or think about selling during this time, mostly because people think that people are busy traveling, right? Being Thanksgiving is one of the most traveled holidays of the year, and then we continue on to the rest of the holidays, right? Buyers disappear is another one that I keep hearing. Winter slow, and then the most utilized sentence in real estate, which is I'll wait till spring, or we'll wait till spring, or we're thinking about waiting till spring. The truth is, all of these conceptions come from outdated market patterns, and it has a lot to do with not only today's market, but the market in the past. See, just like always, New York buyers, New York's market doesn't follow the rules from 20 years ago. It simply doesn't, right? Holiday buyers are fewer. That is definitely true, but they're more serious, right? And then you have some of the things that happen throughout this time of year if you really think about it, right? Let's take a step back from the perspective of the market slows down right now. Let's actually think about what happens in terms of life, right? So you have relocation deadlines. There's corporate relocations happening throughout the country, and this is one of the biggest relocation hubs in the country, right? Both in and out of. Leases expire at the end of the year. There's a lot of year-end lease endings. People have been thinking about buying, and now they're like, maybe now's the real time. Pair that up with an agent that's been updating them, that's been, educating the consumer on taking advantage of this time of the year, and you have more serious buyers. Year-end tax planning. This is it. These last couple of months, they're the last investments that you can when it comes to your tax planning, your tax purposes. So if you've talked to your CPA, you started that conversation, talk to them about the advantages of home ownership, of purchasing a home. You'll see what I mean. Now, you have Queens job relocations. You have, let's say, Brooklyn buyers are looking closer to transit, right? And then you have Long Island families that are either upsizing, downsizing. We're moving from, let's say Queens out to the island, from Brooklyn out to the island, or vice versa. Maybe moving a little closer to work. Let's not forget that the work from home thing is a thing of the past in a way. It's still happening, but I have people, clients that we worked on relocating them out of the city, or, let's say upstate or to Long Island. And now their jobs have changed their policies. It's no longer work from home 2 days out of the week or 3 days out of the week. It's work from home. We need you in the office 5 days a week. It's been happening 4 out of 5 days. You get what I'm saying, right? So commute is something that people really, really, really are taking into consideration right now. So that's just another factor. Now, there's one thing that, from a home ownership perspective or from a home selling perspective, let's think this through, right? So low inventory means higher visibility for your home, right? So if somebody's looking to move into your neighborhood and everyone else is thinking, let's wait until the spring to sell, right? Well, what does that mean? That means there's even lower inventory during this time of year. And if you were to put your home on the market, yours would stand out based on the number of homes alone. Now, of course, you do have to quantify in pricing of your home strategically, presentation, marketing of your home, etc. But if you think about it just on an inventory level, less homes, your home's in there, less competition for eyeballs. And that's what you want. You want as many eyeballs on your property as possible. So another thing to consider during this time of year is that a lot of homes start coming off of the market, right? Let's say some homes were priced too high, or they just weren't presented well, or for a myriad of reasons, they didn't sell, and they're coming to their expiration date, meaning that they had an expiration date, let's say at the end of the year. that means that even less homes are available, right? So it happens, especially because a lot of the contracts are 6-month contracts. So if you think about that, let's say you sign in January, that contract's up in June, July, you sign during the summer, then we're looking at winter time where if the house didn't sell, now's the time it's expiring. So yet another reason that your home getting on the market is a good idea. And for those of you that did expire, a lot of people expired, and everything I just said, again, another reason for you to list with the appropriate agent. And just as an idea, in places like Bayside, Astoria, Douglaston, Dyker Heights, Mineola, areas throughout the city, inventory really does come down during this time, so it's even more pertinent when it comes to your locations. The areas that are highly coveted, where there's a lot of demand and there's even less inventory, that's really where you can take a big advantage here. And the surrounding areas, because if people can't find the exact home that they're looking for in Astoria, they're looking at as close to Astoria as possible. Now, another one of the benefits of putting your home up for sale during the holidays, besides, market conditions, that sort of thing, is actually what happens during the holidays. The holidays creates an emotional connection with the home. So if you happen to decorate your home the right way, if you keep the curb appeal outside, where people can come to your house and see the magic on the outside and then go inside and see, wow, this really feels home. This really does feel like home. This could be where, we have our first Christmases, or where we have our first this or that or the other. So it's actually a very strategic time of the year, again, due to this emotional connection, right? Because one thing is having people go out and take a look at homes. Another is, an emotional connection to the property, which would help sell, on top of it being, a great opportunity for someone, right? Emotion makes people act, right? Emotion equals motion. Whether it's the warm lighting, the cozy feel, let's say you guys have a fireplace, all those kind of ideas go through the Hallmark channels, kind of making people think that, hey, maybe I should have that. And then it helps with quicker decisions. This could be a chance for them to get, to have this same situation, this same setup a year from now in this home, by making sure they lock this down now. Now, when it comes to relocation and job transfers, which again goes back to market conditions, New York is a relocation hub. So that activity is here year round. But a lot of, those job transfers, a lot of those moves massively happen between November and February. So it could be corporate relocations, it could be healthcare workers, government and academic positions as well. These buyers that have specific deadlines, it equals faster and stronger offers. These are people that can't play. They need a home, right? And a lot of these fees and a lot of the things that they deal with can be taken care of by some of the corporations that they have. So they have a little more flexibility as well. Now, if you guys have been, paying attention to this as the idea of selling your home has been going through your mind here, interest rates and buyer psychology in this quarter of the year, it's what we have to look at, right? So interest rates have kind of reached a time of stabilization. I can actually call it that because the variation has been very small when it comes to the numbers, right? It does change on a daily basis, but it's not as high as it was, and it's not as volatile as it was, right? So buyers that are out shopping now, they know interest rate, it is what it is. And they also have options where it did come down, and there are some programs that some of these lenders have that can help them have an even lower rate, making buying a home more affordable and more appealing. So this helps with renewing buyer confidence. Yes, there are a lot of other factors in the economy right now that they're considering, but this is a tremendous concern. Affordability has been at the, just at the top of everyone's list, at the top of everyone's conversation when it comes to buying a home. All right, so keep that in mind. There's also the idea of buyers trying to beat the new year, right? Some buyers, especially those that have been educated on this, they know that they have to beat the buyers that are coming out, in the fall, in the springtime, right? But you also have people that are trying to get into that house before the end of the new year, right? Which would take a very special situation right now, but they are trying to get in as quickly as possible. That's the bottom line. Now, let's talk about another thing that hasn't been talked about that much, but the pent-up demand continues. There's a reason that you don't see home prices going down as much as some people thought, even when interest rates were high. And that's because the demand has been there. And we're talking about 4 years now, right? Some people did take a break, and then they'll come back in when interest rates come down. Then they'll take a break, and then they'll see other opportunities out there. And again, when they're trained on the fact that during this time there are more opportunities and less competition, meaning less buyers that they have to fight over, multiple offers, even though those situations still happen, it's not to the same extent as during the springtime season where everyone's out, right? Now, one side note, an awesome part of the holidays and the winter months is that you have less looky-loos. You have less nosy neighbors trying to check out your house. People that are willing to, come out when it's snowing, when it's frigid, during the holidays, they take time away from their family. Those are serious buyers. They're not just people that are trying to kick tires. They're people that are looking to make deals. Now, from the seller's perspective, there's also more of lifestyle flexibility right now, potentially, right? There could be some time off work coming up. That allows for more showings. Now, there's also that natural yearly transition. So you might, maybe the kids have a little break from school, so there's less of that morning rush. Again, more flexibility, right? Easier to plan a move. If you have the off time, you can actually have that conversation that you've been putting off. Maybe even that meeting of selecting your favorite realtor, having that conversation with, maybe David Garcia, to help you make that decision and plan it out so you know what to expect. Again, the schedule thing, that's a big thing. Kids' activities, all that, usually less, which means, again, more time for you and more flexibility in terms of what you're going to do. And then there's just less chaos. With those less activities, with less rush, there's more flexibility, more calm when it comes to either, starting to pack, starting to move, making preparations for the sale, sprucing up the home, even holiday decorations. You can take some of that time and get that really done. Now, also, let's say you do put it on the market, just saying, have an open house, and congratulations, you just earned yourself, some holiday shopping time. So, and true story, just had one of my clients do that. When it comes to demand in Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, the city, you have the Bronx and Staten Island, they all have varying degrees of demand in specific neighborhoods. But when you're looking at northeastern Queens, when you're looking at western Queens, Astoria, Jackson Heights, Sunnyside, Woodside, Elmhurst, East Elmhurst, you go up towards, Douglaston, Malba, Beechhurst, Whitestone, Little Neck, even towards Belrose and out to Nassau County, you have a lot of pent-up demand. We've had clients that have been trying to get into homes for a long time, and for one reason or another, they've been unable to find it. So again, this is another reason to really consider this time of the year instead of having that wait. Don't think of this as a time to take a break from thinking about selling or from actually selling the home, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the idea of scheduling showings and all that stuff that people have, consider disruption to their normal life, that can all be structured in a way that is not as intrusive as you might think. Again, all of these factors help you not only successfully sell your home, but it could actually speed up the process, right? Between the stronger buyer motivation, right, for the reasons we've talked about before, less seller competition, which we didn't really touch on, but there's less of your neighbors that are thinking about selling, or they're thinking about pushing it over to the spring, right? So you don't have to worry about these others getting sold. You're the one that's standing out. Higher quality showings. So the showings are scheduled showings. They're not just, a bunch of random showings scheduled. These are people that are highly motivated, and we can structure it again in a way that ensures quality and that kind of feeds off of each other. The emotional staging advantage. So again, you're having that emotion connecting to the home where people can see themselves in the future living in this very home. It can make this house feel like their home. And a key component to the whole thing about the holiday season when it comes to selling your home. And then the corporate relocation traffic. It's an added bonus, especially at this time of the year, right? That is something, that's like a market that a lot of people don't even consider, but it's very real, and you can ask around, check online. This is that time where that market is moving. So let's say after all this, you decide, yes, let's go with it. Let's put the home on the market. What now? So when it comes to having your home for sale in the market during the holiday season, what you want to do is you want to hit some key priorities in order to really succeed at this, right? So some of them is as simple as just keeping staging simple, right? Maybe just removing some of the extra stuff, getting more of the personal things off the wall. Like if you have a lot of family portraits or a lot of, let's say, big pieces of art, that sort of thing, might be a good time to move that to the side, right? Then again, warm lighting. This is that time of year where that really helps. It just becomes more inviting. A little, chill music also helps, a little bit of that vibe. Maintaining the curb appeal. Please make sure that the landscaping continues to get done. And at the very least, when snow inevitably starts happening, that you have clear paths and that we don't endanger anybody visiting your home. Keep that in mind. And then take advantage of the holiday decor. Don't go crazy unless, that's your normal way of doing things with the holidays. I'm a big fan of the holidays, but at the same time, we want to make sure to keep it nice and inviting, not overbearing and overwhelming, right? So keep that in mind. And then make sure to speak to your agent about creating that balanced schedule to get your home showed enough times to enough people, and at the same time in a way that is not so intrusive on your life, and especially during the holidays. Because honestly, from me, I love the holiday season, and the last thing I want to do is make your holiday season any more stressful. What I want to do is get you on the path to succeed at selling your home, and at the same time, enjoy the holiday season. Not just focus it all on that part of it, right? Make it as seamless and the less stress, the better during this time of year. So let's put it together, right? So winter is not slow, it's slower, right? Holidays don't stop buyers. What it does is it stops the buyers that aren't as serious. So it's already a filter. You throw in the weather during the colder months and right after the holiday season, again, just another layer of filtration, right? The serious buyers are going to come out. I'm telling you, I've been out on days where it seemed like, like a blizzard, and we still went into the home, made an offer, and got that home purchased. So that does happen. And don't forget, spring is not the only good time to sell. No matter how many times you've seen that on commercials or on TV or movies and shows, on $1 Million Listing, on reality TV, it's not the only great time to sell. I invite you to really overcome that thinking and to really look at this from a new lens, a new perspective, a new angle that will help you really get your goals, achieve them sooner than you actually thought possible. Because if you think about it, if what I've said makes sense to you and you're ready to make that move, you're doing that ahead of the crowd. You're not waiting until April, May to do this. You're getting this done in the earlier part of that time frame, right? And at the end of the day, if you really think about it, selling a home here in New York takes 3 months. So even if you got that done today, right? Fast forward 3 months from today, and that's when you're actually going to be moving to your new place. If everything goes just perfect. If you're a homeowner in Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, Staten Island, the Bronx, the city, and you want to explore whether the holiday season is the right time for you to sell your home, I'm here to guide you and to really give you as much information to arm you with the knowledge you need in order to decide whether everything I've said really makes sense for you and yours. Because at the end of the day, this is not a blanket statement for everyone, right? At the end of the day, no matter what the advantages are, no matter what the time of year is, it all depends on your individual situation, both financially, personally, what your plans are, if there could be life events that you're waiting on or life events that happen. So we really have to sit down and analyze your particular situation. Also, do the numbers make sense as far as selling your home? Are you going to get the amount that you want, regardless of when you sell it? Is it realistic? Reach out to me. You can give me a call or text 917-982-8899. Again, 917-982-8899. And if you're thinking about relocating from New York, That's something that we also help you do, which we connect you with agents around the country and around the globe to have feet on the ground that will actually help you make that move, that seamless transition. We help you with it here. We communicate with them there so that they know when shopping should happen, that they can show you homes that are in your price point, neighborhoods that are interesting to you, and then really make sure that you know where you're going, not just that your home is selling here. We want you to have a complete plan at the end of the day. Whether it's you, your family members, the people you love, or someone that you know and trust that needs this kind of guidance, feel free to send this over to them. Or again, share my information. And you can always visit and get more info at sellyourqueenshome.com. Read our blog. We're updating that constantly for new strategies, new ideas, new neighborhoods, new homes that are on the market, and always to find out the value of your home as well. So thanks for spending the time with us, and please reach out with any questions you might have. Trusted guidance matters more than timing itself. Let's make sure your next move is a smart one.